Thank you very much for having us here on the Charlotte Motor Speedway Media Tour. It's very good to be here. We won't waste any time. We'll go ahead and get right started. But I do want to call out a couple things especially for our still photographers as well as our video photographers. We're going to bring out all four of our drivers, allow some time for a quick group photo. Then Stewart-Haas will come out, another time for a quick group photo. Our crew chiefs will come out along with our Vice President of Competition, Greg Zippadelli. That whole group will be here on stage, and then once everyone's good in terms of the imagery collected from that, our drivers and Stewart-Haas will sit right here, and our crew chiefs and Greg Zippadelli will be seated in the audience prior to heading over to the room next door for our breakout session. So again, that's what we have going on. If you could tee up the music, we will go ahead and start with
Ladies and gentlemen,
the reigning NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion and driver of the number 4 Budweiser Jimmy John Chevrolet, Kevin Harvick. And Danica Patrick, driver of the number 10 GoDaddy Chevrolet SS. Kurt Busch, driver number 41, Haas Automation Chevrolet. And Tony Stewart, driver number 14, Bass Pro Shops Mobile One Chevrolet. And the co-owner of Stewart-Haas Racing, Stewart-Haas. And now our crew chiefs. Rodney Childers, championship-winning crew chief for Harvick and the number 4 Budweiser Jimmy John's team. Daniel Canos, crew chief for Patrick and the number 10 GoDaddy team. Tony Gibson, crew chief for Kurt Busch and the number 41 Haas Automation team. Chad Johnston, crew chief for Tony Stewart and number 14 Bass Pro Shops Mobile One team. And Greg Zippadelli, our Vice President of Competition at Stewart-Haas Racing. Ladies and gentlemen, Stewart-Haas Racing. All right, if everyone's good from both the video and a still photography perspective, drivers, Gene, go ahead and have a seat behind us. Crew chiefs and Zip, we have reserved seating right over there in the audience. Gentlemen, thank you very much, and ladies, we appreciate the time here today. You know, Gene, Tony, it was last year at this time, everyone was asking how in the world you were going to keep all these personalities from, ganging up on one another or causing a ruckus. You return this year as the reigning NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champions. How'd you do it? Gene, why don't you tackle that one first?
Well, I think Tony and I we have a philosophy. We hire very, very competent people and we let them do their job, and I really think that's kind of the secret to the DNA of Stewart-Haas Racing. We demand perfection, we demand results, but we let people achieve it in their own way, and you see what the results are.
Tony, your take?
Yeah, I agree. It's last year we sat here and everybody wondered what the chemistry of this group was going to be like, and I think we proved over the summer that what everybody thought was a time bomb ticking actually was a really good combination for the 4 of us. We have 4 drivers and 4 crew chiefs and owners that have the same passion and drive and desire to win races and championships, and it's been a good combination. So I think we knew from the start that we didn't know that we were guaranteed to win a championship with this equation the first year out, but at the same time we knew that the drivers and crew chiefs would all work well together.
And I'd like to reintroduce Kevin Harvick, reigning NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion, has a heck of a ring to it. How has it been atop the mountain?
It's been busy. I think as you look back and you just look at everything that built up to last year, it's been very refreshing for me to have been a part of that philosophy that those two guys have talked about, and have a group of people around you that believe in what you do and have the results to back it up. So it's definitely been a lot of fun as we went through 2014. I feel like everybody's gelled well together and worked well together, and we just got to keep it rolling now.
All right, and Danica, Patrick, Kurt Busch, this question is for you. Obviously, this organization has accomplished a lot, especially this past year. Your expectations coming into this season, Danica?
Really to continue with the things that was happening last year and the improvements made in the areas that I was looking to improve them, and also to develop new relationships. Obviously, with a new crew chief and a new group, we need to get to know each other sooner than later. So I'll be putting a lot of hard work into getting our communication going as quickly as possible. But then after that, it's to kind of pick up where I left off with Tony Gibson and his guys that taught me so much and really helped me get much further towards the front and qualifying much better and running much better. So I'm sure there'll be a little bit of a learning curve, but I think we can overcome that sooner than later.
And Kurt?
Well, it's to continue to build on the success we had from 2014, winning a race and making the chase. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to shoot for a championship, and so it's building on that first year's team chemistry and using those final 3 races last year with Tony Gibson. Our average finish was 8.7, and we qualified in the top 10 all 3 races. Those are the types of races that we know we're capable of putting together, and we need to do that these first 26 races with the Haas Automation Chevy and get things up and rolling.
All right, we have 200 registered media on this media tour, so I'll stop asking the questions and I'll open up the floor to you guys. We do have 2 folks in the back with mics, so if we'll go ahead and raise your hand, state your name and affiliation. We'll start right over here with Alan and then Tom.
Alan Cavano, Fox Sports, for Gene and Tony. When you look back on last year, what's more indicative of this organization, the championship win or the 3 teams that didn't run maybe as well as you wanted them to?
Well, I really think that the championship win was kind of a surprise for everybody. Brand new driver and crew chief. That you just never know the magic that's out there. But I think the other teams, did well. Maybe obviously not winning the championship, but that's why we have 4 teams. It takes a lot of diversity, and you just never know, the challenges that are out there. And one thing about having the 4 teams is everybody does things a little bit differently, and coming up with just that right combination that every driver and crew chief is looking for is not easy. And I think Kevin and Rodney, obviously have that magic, and we were very, very fortunate that it came to win so quickly. So for that, we're very grateful. But it's not easy in this sport. So I think any of the other teams also have that potential to win too.
Yeah, I think it's a scenario where, obviously Kevin and Rodney winning the championship is proof that we have the right tools in place to have that kind of success. It's just a matter of, like Gene alluded to, just putting the magic together, and there's definitely room for improvement with the other 3 teams, and that's what we've worked on in the off season, is to try to bring the standard of those 3 teams to match what Kevin's done.
Tom Jensen, Fox Sports 1. Kevin, when you announced that you were coming to Stewart-Haas, you said the main reason you wanted to come here was to win a championship. It was the one thing left in your resume to complete. Now that you've done it, has it lived up to your expectations, and has it meant as much to you as you thought it would?
I think it's probably meant more, just because of the fact that, in 2012, when we decided to make the move and had talked about the things that we wanted to accomplish, and that was to be competitive on a weekly basis and try to win a championship. And to do that in the first year just says a lot about the company and the resources and the commitment that everybody has to it. So for me to be a small piece of that and be able to accomplish what you really worked your whole life for, and that's to try to win a championship at this level of stock car racing is something that still, to me, I don't know that it's actually set in 100%, just for the fact that you work so much to try to keep everything going on a daily, weekly basis, and then you accomplish your goal, and it's like, well, now you don't want to fail in the next year, so you don't want to let your guard down, and you want to try to be better than you were last year. So that, to me, is great motivation that Rodney and I have talked about, and that's really our motivation for the year, is to not let everybody down on the second year.
We'll go with Wolfgang and then work our way to the middle of the room.
Wolfgang Monzer from Germany, Raceway Press Agency. A question either for Gene or for Tony, I don't want to answer. We had a successful season last year. Nevertheless, I think in any kind of motor racing, also in your team, you have an ongoing development in the technical side. Can you give me some details? If the cars are much different than last year, where the cars improved, aero package, suspension, engine? Is there anything particular which is different to last year?
Well, obviously the rules package is considerably different from last year, so the fact that the testing policy has changed has definitely put more emphasis on our simulation programs, our wind tunnel time, and our partnership with Hendrick Motorsports. They've spent a ton of money and resources and time developing the new engine package for this year. So it's been a very exhausting process, but at the same time, I think it's shown us some strengths in our organization. We feel confident that we've been able to try to take the areas that we have the capability of making improvements on and executing it.
All right. We'll work to the center first with Stan.
Yeah. Stan Creekmore with CompetitionPlus.com. Tony, last year was a great year for you and also a very demanding year for you. How are you going into this year physically and mentally?
Really good, actually. Normally during the off season I go to a couple races, but especially through holidays I just stayed home and relaxed and enjoyed time with my family and friends, and then went to Arizona and the Chili Bowl in spring and got to see a bunch of my friends that I haven't seen for a long time. So from the personal side, that was the best thing I could have done during the off season. Physically, even after the surgery December 1st, this is the best I've felt since the accident happened 2 years ago. So really excited to get back in the car and get going again. As you guys saw when I walked up, I'm walking fairly straight, not much of a limp, so feeling really good.
Jim.
Jim Miller, Charlotte Observer. This is kind of a question along the same lines for Tony. So much has transpired over the last 2 seasons, starting when you injured your leg, and you've had 2 seasons that have been kind of abbreviated for one reason or another. Has your passion ever wavered for continuing to do this?
It's probably made my desire more stronger than it's ever been. I'm not happy about the last 2 years of my life by any means, so it's given me more drive and desire to go back and get back to the old form that our fans and that our sponsors and everybody's used to seeing us in. So I'm looking forward to it. This is probably the most prepared I've been in a while for a season to start.
Bruce Martin, Race Day on Fox Sports Radio. Kevin, how much did it really validate the changes of Chase last year, that one of the season's big winners, a guy who won all throughout the season, ended up being the champion?
Well, I think as a team we focused on trying to win races. I don't think we ever really tried to revert to the consistency part of it. We were racing for wins right up through Homestead, obviously winning the race, and the last 3 weeks I think we're 2 wins and then second at Texas. So it was the mentality was just the fact that that's what got us there, and that's what we needed to continue to do, and that's really the only way to control your own destiny. So if you have cars that are capable of doing that, and teams and everything around you that have gotten to that point by winning, there's really no reason to try to change your strategy. And I think as there were some moments where going for wins and different things might have been detrimental to some of the guys that were racing to that point that really allowed the 31 to be in that spot. I think that's probably what you're referring to. So I think to be able to go to Homestead and put that whole day together and be able to win the race and the championship was fulfilling for us too. I know it was great for the sport and everything, everybody that was involved in it. But I think for us to know that we went out on offense and were able to do what we did was very gratifying.
We'll go with Viv, and then we'll come over to this side of the room.
Viv Bernstein, New York Times. For Kevin, you were the latest driver to switch teams and have this immediate success. Matt Kenseth did it, and a couple other guys have done it. As you look back, was it more emotion or equipment that led to that? And looking ahead, is now Carl Edwards the guy to beat this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, I was just tired of going to work. I didn't like my job. And that's just not a healthy way to be productive in this environment, because it takes a lot of work and effort and things to be competitive, and there's going to be ups and downs and a lot of things emotionally to deal with. So if you have a bad attitude about the things that are around you and that are going on, you're not going to win. You're not going to beat the guys that we race against on a weekly basis unless you have your whole life in order. And whether it's racing, your attitude, financials, whatever it may be, that whole circle of life has to be together in order to be successful here. So it's for me to come over here and be with this group of people, was very refreshing for me, very motivating. And I think to see the support and things that came with that were very good for me. And I think as you look at this group and you look at the management and you look at the owners and the people that are around us, everybody's very similar in age and has a very similar approach to life, and so for me it's good to be around people like that, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and nothing ever changed. Everything we talked about happened, and everything that was promised was given. And you feel like you have to give everything that you promised as well, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Hill and then Kenny.
Hill Overton, WIXC Radio. Danica, given your success, the pole at Daytona year before last, your strong run there, is this the race you look most forward to, and what are your anticipations?
It's sure one of them, but I think it also just has to do with the fact that it's the biggest race of the year. Anything can happen at Daytona, so it makes it an exciting race, but it's also can be frustrating too. And I think that's why it's exciting for probably every driver to go into Daytona on some level, because I guess I equate it to almost like the Indy 500. It's so long that there are a lot of cycles that could have put you in the right place to win the race, and I feel like Daytona is one of those races that, given the right flow through the pack, you could have been the one up front to win the race. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that get excited about going there, but also get a little bit I don't know, uncomfortable, or I doubt people are scared, but you can just as equally fail and not have a great race. You can be running great and finish 20th. I mean, that's just what happens at Daytona. But I think that as time goes on and I keep getting better and doing a better job and communicating better and being able to help out with the car more, I then start looking forward to other races more so, to be honest. I had some better races at tracks that, Atlanta comes to mind, that was it's one of the toughest tracks, and so to come down to the line for just about 5th place was a good race. So those are the ones that I start to look forward to more and more all the time because of improvements and growing as a driver.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Tony, you mentioned what Kevin was able to accomplish this past year and wanting to elevate the other 3 teams to get them close to where he performed. One of the things that stood out about Kevin and Rodney's team was not only were they fast, but they were fast consistently. When you look at something like that, how hard is it to get just pure speed for the other 3 teams? I mean, I don't know anything about it, so I don't know. I would think that wouldn't be that difficult to do, because you're all working on the same engines, and I know everybody doesn't like the same setups, but why is that so difficult, just that one area?
It shows how difficult it really is, or we'd had all 4 of them doing it. But a lot of it with this package and how the setups have evolved in these cars, it is really about feel, and such minute changes can change that and make a driver comfortable in the car, and that's something that we've had to work hard to kind of find. And we were finding trends last year that helped, I think, throughout the season, but also are going to help us through the winter. And Danica and Kevin, were feeling a lot of the same things in their cars. Kurt and I were feeling similar feels in our cars together. So it was just figuring out how to work together, work with the crew chiefs and figure out how to not only take what we all had, but there were times when we tried what Kevin was running and I was slower because I wasn't as comfortable in it as I was with my package. So it's just figuring out trends and trying to figure out what are the positives that we're taking away from each car, and I think that's the thing that we focused on this winter, is trying to find the best of everything and trying to put them all into one package.
Lewis.
Gene, to your left. Louis Franco, Reuters. You've had some great success with Tony with expansion, and you're expanding into F1. Is there any other desires to expand Xfinity, America's Cup, NFL? Do you like big challenges?
Yeah, Tony and I we're going to start a go-kart team. But no, I appreciate that. I think it's the challenge in life that makes it interesting. It's not so much when you get there. And I like that challenge. I was kind of surprised, actually, even venturing into Formula One. I thought there would be a lot more people that would be interested in it, because even though Formula One has a lot of distractions and problems, just like NASCAR has, it is Formula One. It is like I say, the world championship sport, and everybody looks at it that way. It has a lot of history to it, and I like that. It has a lot of characters in it. I like that, and it's incredibly challenging, and it's not going to be easy to do well in it. So all those things combined make it the kind of sport that I'm interested in. Plus, it has a little bit of oil and grease and iron. So I think all those things just make it something I would want to do. As far as other sports, I don't really understand football or basketball, and tweaking on a basketball player's got to be tough. So cars are a lot easier to understand. Hard to build parts for them, yes. And other than that, I don't have really a lot of concrete reasons, but it is a challenge, and I think that anybody, just like these guys that drive these cars, that's part of the excitement, is trying to do something that other people don't do.
Greg.
Greg Engel, Cupscene.com. This could be for Tony or for Kevin. You got to a certain point where you had all speed and you had the packages down and everything, and it looked good for him and everything, and then now all of a sudden they're throwing a new rules package. Did that set you back a long ways? Were you able to is that going to help move you forward, the lessons that he learned? And also NASCAR is mentioning maybe running the 2016 package in the All-Star race. Would you be for that, or because you want to win the race, or just testing, or would you be against something like that?
No, I think the thing to keep in mind this winter is it's the same for everybody. Everybody's starting with the same base and trying to figure out how to maximize it, just like we do any other year. But technology plays such a big role in this sport that no matter what the package is, there's components on the race cars that are going to evolve no matter what the package is. So I think we can take things that we learned from last year, obviously, and apply them. Personally, I'm excited about the opportunity to run the All-Star race with the 2016 package. That's kind of, I think, what the drivers were all in favor of in the first place. And the rules package this year was a step in between, which was a good step, I think, by NASCAR to make sure that we're keeping everybody moving the same direction, but and not just jumping right away to the 16 package. So I think it would be a great idea for us to be able to take that event. I mean, that's an event that's for the fans anyway, and as much as we all want to win it, and there's a great prize at the end of it, it's I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to try that package.
Go with Brian Nelson.
Brian Nelson, Motor Racing Network. Kurt, Tony talked about how you two have similar styles and kind of felt the same things. Your feels were validated by your experiences, and then likewise, Danica and Kevin had some similar experiences behind the wheel. But that balanced against things we heard earlier with 4 different drivers, 4 different styles, all that diversity. How do you balance the value of the diversity versus having somebody there to kind of validate what you're feeling and you know, make that, how does that balance work out?
Well, each driver has their own driving style and the things that they'd like to make changes on with their crew chief, and the balance that they're looking for. You know, it's great to have a front runner like Harvick was last year, where week in and week out the Ford car was the car to beat. And if you have that within your own stable, you should be able to apply that very quickly to your car. And if you're feeling like you're driving down into the corner, waiting on something, or you're a bit hesitant because it's not your setup, that means you're already a half a tenth behind. And in this competitive day and age, a half a tenth means a lot. And so that's where you have to find that balance within your car, but you have to find the balance within the trends of the setups. And so I'm looking forward to this year with the horsepower reduction as well as the downforce reduction on finding the right key balances that me and Tony Gibson will be working on. But I think getting back to somewhat of the balance that each driver likes, you know, Kevin and Danica show where they like a little bit tighter of a race car, where Tony and I like a little bit looser of a race car. Some tracks that blends really well into, some tracks that put you at a small disadvantage.
George?
Yeah, Kevin over here, George Diaz with the Orlando Sentinel. You've come close a few times to winning a title, and you hit the reset button, and now you come back as a champion. Do you hit the reset button differently, you know, whether it's emotionally in other ways, now that you do come back and you're the guy to beat?
Well, I think there's a few things that go along with that. Obviously, there's a sense of responsibility for the sport, you know, as the champion, to make sure that you do a good job of representing the sport and doing the things that you need to help grow it and be a part of it. And I think the second is obviously the motivation and being able to experience what you've asked to experience, and then being able to experience verifying the fact that it is way more fun to win the championship than it is to lose it, is very motivating in itself. So, you know, I think for me, you know, I think this year is really not I think that's why it hasn't sunk in as much as it probably needs to, is just for the fact that, you know, I've never been a real believer in gloating in anything. You just want to move forward and try to keep continually doing your job the best that you can. And for me, you know, the winter is the time when you put all your personal stuff and life in general away from the racetrack in order as much as you can, so that you can almost ignore it, to put all the effort into you know, the car and the things that it takes to concentrate on as you go through the season. So I'm fortunate that I have a wife and son that travel with me, and I don't have to, you know, they're a part of putting life on hold. You know, in a sense, I guess you could say, just for the fact that they're with me, so I can bring in that family aspect of things and keep that in order. But as far as everything else, or, you know, going on vacation or this or that, you know, this is the time when we get to Daytona. It's about the race car and focusing on the team and the pieces that it takes to put that together. Because you may go to the first race or second race and be out to lunch, and, you know, that requires a certain amount of extra time to put in to make sure that you get things in check. And much like we had last year, we had the speed in the car, but we had a lot of problems to go along with it. So you have to be a part of the process to help fix those things, and whether it be one question or one answer or one conversation away from sending those things in the right direction, you have to make time for those things in order to be competitive in this garage. So, you know, the great part, the great challenge, I think, at this point is managing your time. I've always been a true big believer in time management, and I'm sure there'll be some people that are mad, but that they don't get what they want. But in the end, this is about winning races and winning a championship, and I feel like we know from a time standpoint how we need to control it, and doing the things that we need to do to continue to win and try to race for a championship.
All right, we're going to get close to wrapping it up here. We'll look down here in the corner with a handful of questions.
Tom Baker from Race Chaser Online and Performance Motorsports Network. This is a two-part question for Kurt. First off, this will be your first full season with Tony. Can you talk about what you and he are looking forward to, and maybe what some of the challenges are that you're looking to overcome? And then the second part is, has there been any conversation at all? Could we possibly look forward to a second attempt at the Indy 500?
Well, working with Tony Gibson, I was blessed to have the chance the last 3 races last year, and posting great results right away was fantastic. It validated the reason for a change and the reason to look forward to the 2015 with so much excitement, enthusiasm, and that's shown with Tony Gibson lining up all of his crew guys, the guys building the bodies that are going to the wind tunnel right now, and just coming out of the gate as strong as we possibly can. I owe all the hard work during this off season to Tony Gibson and all the guys that have wrapped their arms around this 41 Haas Automation Chevy. And so it's exciting to have a tire test already done and to feel the racetrack with the new car, and to just have Tony Gibson's years of experience on that pit box. That's what I'm looking forward to with tracks like Atlanta and Vegas, Fontana early in the season, just coming out of the gate strong with that experience level. And it's nice to have Tony Stewart's blessing to run Indy, and to have Michael Andretti give me the access to come back and to give it a shot. But it's something we haven't talked about. There's been plenty of other things in this off season to stay focused on.
Joseph Walken, frontstretch.com. Danica and Kurt, you guys have a new crew chief now this year. How is working with your new team leader going to help you guys in 2015 after having a subpar season last year?
Well, it's just great to have made the change last year and to get our feet wet and to bridge that communication gap. It's always fun to go to the track with new members and new people in different positions. But you got to work through what are our strong suits, what are our areas that we need to work on, and we were able to do that in those final 3 races. So a lot of excitement building into 2015.
I think subpar is a matter of opinion. I think in my second year in the Cup Series, there were certain things that I wanted to work on and we wanted to work on as a group, and I feel that there was drastic improvement there. While the overall championship position didn't really show for that, there was a lot of improvements in areas that we wanted to, and so I consider that a success. Moving forward with Daniel, it really just opens up new possibilities. I think with a new person, there's new perspectives and there's new ways of getting things done. And we're going to be working hard to put all of our best ideas together and stay positive and make our goals happen.
All right, last question, take us home.
Aaron Barnes, National Speed Sport News. This is for you, Tony. Just kind of curious, could you talk a little bit about how your relationship with Chad evolved from the start of last year? It seemed like you guys picked it up late in the year and had some better finishes.
Yeah, I mean, I think from day one, personality-wise, we were a perfect fit for each other. And it's just like anybody else. I mean, when you hear people talk about driver-crew chief combinations, you hear them talk about it as a marriage, and you really have to be in sync with the person that's your crew chief. So, personality-wise, we're great from that. It's just taken a while for me to get used to the path that he was going down engineering-wise, and as everything evolves each year, you have to keep changing as a driver to catch up to it. So, I feel like getting that first year under our belt, and there's a lot of new people on the 14 car underneath Chad this year. So, I think a new group is a positive change for us as well, and should get us off on the right foot this year.
All right, and before we break off to head to the other room for the one-on-one interview sessions, I do want to introduce a couple of people on the PR representation side. Ryan Berry is the rep for the number 4 team, and Kevin Harvick. We have Rory Cannellan with the number 41 team, and Kurt Busch. Proud to have Annette Randall join the team as the rep for the number 10 team, and Danica Patrick. And joining me on the 14 car will be Penny Copen-Fender representing Stewart and the 14 team. So thank you very much. We'll give everyone some time to head next door, and we'll be there in just a little bit. Thanks for your time, everyone. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it. Thank you.